Chinese fighter jets crowding Taiwan's radar screens are Beijing's latest tool to ramp up pressure on the democratic island, sparking fears that one mistake could suddenly turn a festering cold conflict into an all-out war. Self-ruled Taiwan has lived under the threat of a China since the two sides split at the end of a civil war in 1949.
Dozens of countries kept up pressure on China at the United Nations on Thursday over accusations of rights abuses against Uyghur Muslims and other minorities in the country's Xinjiang region, an angry response from China's UN envoy. Beijing denies all allegations of abuse of Uyghurs and describes the camps as vocational training facilities to combat religious extremism.
President Joe Biden vowed to protect Taiwan from any Chinese incursion but dismissed the idea that he wants to start another Cold War with China. Are you saying the US would come to Taiwan's defense if China were to attack? Journalist asked Biden, to which the president responded, "Yes, we have a commitment to do that."
White House officials are gearing up for a virtual meeting between President Joe Biden and Chinese leader Xi Jinping. They hope will show the world Washington can responsibly manage relations with superpowers, people familiar with the matter say.
Turkish president threatened to expel the US, German and 8 other Western ambassadors after they issued a rare joint statement in support of a jailed civil society leader. Ambassadors issued a highly unusual joint statement on Monday, distributed widely on their Turkish social media accounts, saying KAVALA'S continued detention cast a shadow over Turkey.
A group of Afghan women urged the United Nations to block the Taliban from gaining a seat at the world body, calling for better representation for their country during a visit to the organization's New York headquarters.
An explosion damaged coaches on a Nigerian passenger train and part of the railway track beneath, prompting the National Rail Company to suspend services between the capital and a major northern city. No casualty reported yet.
An explosion brought down electricity lines and cut off power to Kabul, in a further blow to Taliban efforts to stabilize Afghanistan 2 months after they seized control. The cause of the blast was not immediately clear, but if it is confirmed as an attack, it will be further evidence that militants are turning the former rebel Taliban's own insurgent tactics against them.
The Financial Action Task Force retained Pakistan on the grey list, while noting that good progress has been made in completing the required action items for removal from the list. FATF President Dr. Marcus Player addressed a post-plenary conference in which he announced that Pakistan remains on the increased monitoring list.
Advisor to the Prime Minister on Finance and Revenue Shaukat Treen left Washington without concluding the talks that could have led to a much-needed endorsement of the government's economic policies by the International Monetary Fund. Although Mr. Treen's team stayed silent on IMF-Pakistan talks, sources in the fund said the government was reluctant to take certain steps needed to reduce the ever-widening gap between revenues and expenditure.
Pakistan reported 16 more deaths attributed to COVID-19 during the last 24 hours, which pushed the nationwide death toll from the pandemic to 28,344. Country records 567 fresh cases overnight from 39,200 COVID-19 screening tests. The positivity rate stood below 2% for the 7th consecutive day at 1.44%.
Pakistani authorities have suspended the metro bus service in Rawalpindi and blocked roads in Islamabad and Lahore as the government braces for protests organized separately by a banned outfit and opposition parties in the above-mentioned cities.
In a move to meet vaccination targets, The government of Punjab has announced it will kick off its door-to-door coronavirus vaccination drive from October 25th. The aim, as per the government's notification, is to ensure 100% of the targeted people are vaccinated. A focal person has also been appointed to ensure the campaign achieves its targets.
While the US dollar has crushed the local currency, the foreign exchange reserves of the State Bank of Pakistan have also started falling sharply. That may further weaken the rupee. The SPP reserves plunged by $1.646 billion to $17.492 billion during the week ended on October 15 from over $20 billion in August, announced the central bank.
After the Saudi government relaxed COVID-19 restrictions pertaining to holy sites, Muslims flocked to the Grand Mosque in Mecca today to offer JUMMA prayers en masse. Wearing a mask is mandatory and thermal cameras were deployed at various areas to screen out potentially sick people.
Fossils of the earliest modern-looking crabs were discovered in tree amber, estimated by scientists to date back 100 million years, the most complete crustacean fossil ever preserved. The fossil includes delicate tissues like antennae, mouth parts lined with fine hairs, large compound eyes, and even the gills.